Three strikers on one battlefield: Isagi, Kaiser, and Rin. Many claim they're equals, but the truth, it was never even close. Today, we will settle the debate once and for all. We will break down these strikers across the most important categories, including weapon, goal scoring ability, 1v1 ability, adaptability, playmaking, and overall game impact. For each category, points will be awarded: 3 for first, 2 for second, and 1 for last. By the end, the totals will reveal who truly is the best new-gen striker in Blue Lock. Let's start with weapons, beginning with Isagi. He possesses the direct shot, plus a heightened state of meta vision. Whether you want to call it Omega Vision or Omni Vision, I think we can all agree he currently possesses the strongest form of meta vision in the under 20 category. Isagi also has some smaller weapons such as the lefty shot, which makes him sort of ambidextrous, not entirely though, as we have seen in players such as Noah or even Kunigami, as his left shot is only 40% as powerful as his right. He also has off the ball movements, which he stole from Naruhaya in the second selection and has continued to improve upon since. Next we have Kaiser, who also possesses a very high level of meta vision, similar in ability to Isagi, as they both often find each other in the same best position on the field at the same time. Kaiser also has the Predator Eye, which is an insane focusing ability for any striker. The only player in the entire series confirmed to have both meta vision and Predator Eye, by the way. But it doesn't stop there. The Kaiser impact means he has the fastest shot swing speed in the world, and likely by extension the fastest shot. He has also learned to adapt this weapon into the Kaiser Impact Magnus, which makes it more unpredictable. The Kaiser Impact can now be shot as a straight bullet train and also a curve shot, making it practically undefendable. As long as your name isn't Julian Loki, right? This is the power of the striker of the new generation of World 11. Now, our third contender, Rin Itoshi. We can split his weapon into two distinct states. First we have Water Rin, whose main weapon is his puppeteer style. This form of play, however, is something we haven't seen for a while. That's why I want to delve into his second state, the Destroyer Flow. Rin is already Blue Lock's most well-rounded striker, but when he enters Destroyer Flow, all of his stats become amplified. As stated by Nagi, his core strength, body balance, trapping, dribbling, shooting, literally all his specs have evolved beyond comprehension, and this is why it took the combined efforts of Isagi and Kaiser to dispossess him in the BM vs PXG game. Rin also has Predator Eye, which he is able to effectively use on both offense and defense. For example, in chapter 289, where he stopped the Kaiser Impact Magnus cross, destroying the perfect connection between Isagi and Kaiser. So that's a brief insight into the weapons of our three contenders. For this category, I've decided to rank Kaiser first, Rin second, and Isagi third. Moving on to the next category, we have goal scoring ability. Which player puts the ball in the net most consistently? One metric we can consider is goals during the NEL. Rin scored a crazy 7 goals, whilst Kaiser and Isagi scored a respectable 4 goals each. For this category, I must rank Rin at the top. Now, regarding Kaiser and Isagi, I've actually decided to put Kaiser in second, as I feel like his weapons are more curated for scoring goals, whereas Isagi impacts the field on a more broad scale. Also, I surveyed with some of my friends. Would you rather a striker that consistently scores 1 goal a game, or a striker who has a 50% chance of scoring twice in a game? Consistency always wins, guys, remember that. So for goal scoring ability, Rin receives 3 points, Kaiser 2, and Isagi 1. Next we have 1v1 ability. What this really comes down to is which player is able to duel the best. Rin Itoshi is definitely a top 3 dribbler in the Blue Lock facility, so I rank him as number 1 in this category. The only 2 players you could make an argument for being better at individual duels is Bachira and Yuki. And I'm sorry, but Isagi's at the bottom again. This is far from his specialty, and Kaiser has at least some feats, such as being able to contend with Chris Prince in a 1v1 or dribbling past members of the Ubers as well as PXG. So for 1v1 ability, Rin receives 3 points, Kaiser 2, and Isagi 1. Now hang on tight for our comeback, Isagi fans. Next we have adaptability, who is best able to adjust to a change in conditions. Right at the top we have the adaptability demon Isagi Yorichi, finally number 1 in a category. This is what he's all about, and he has consistently proven himself to be the best in this regard, with numerous feats across every arc since Blue Lock's inception. In second, I have decided to rank Kaiser. As for confirmed Metavision users, he's probably the second best. Also, during the PXG game, Kaiser was able to break himself down, discover his restrictive ego style, which allowed for him to score the Kaiser Impact Magnus, and later on he teamed up with his rival Isagi, which allowed the new duo to stop Rin and win the final and most important game of the NEL. Now, Rin is last in this category, as especially when in his Destroyer flow state he becomes incredibly unpredictable and not entirely in a good way. If Rin adapted in accordance with Shido, PXG likely would have won their match against BM. If he just passed back to his teammate, the NEL result would have been different. Also, if Rin didn't use the crush shot on Kaiser, the same move he just used on Isagi, perhaps Kaiser wouldn't have been able to steal the ball from him and initiate the final counter-attack, the same play which led to Isagi scoring the game winner. And that's why for adaptability, Isagi receives 3 points, finally first in the category. Kaiser receives 2 and Rin receives 1. Next we have playmaking. Now I hope the Isagi fans are still present, as I believe he takes the #1 position for this category as well, as he is less individualistic than his 2 rivals. Isagi was able to contribute 4 goals and 4 assists in the NEL. That's more assists than Kaiser and Rin combined. Matter of fact, did Kaiser and Rin even assist once across the entire NEL? I don't think so. Isagi ranks on top for this category. In the Manshine game, he was able to use the Planet X hotline with Kurona to carry the ball up the pitch, and in the same match he contributed 2 assists. He was also able to play with Hiyori in the Ubers game, where Hiyori was able to awaken his ego and provided a no-look assist to Isagi, who also wasn't even looking at the ball. Isagi smashed the ball in for the game winner versus the Ubers. GG, man. Then we have Kaiser vs Rin. Kaiser shown synergy with Ness and Grim, of course, but also Kiora, who assisted him in the last game, you know, the Kaiser Impact Magnus. You could also make the argument Rin is able to work with Nanase, but is Nanase really providing that much value to Rin? And is Rin really using Nanase to play make? Not really. Most of Rin's opportunities stemmed from him simply carrying the ball up the field himself and dribbling through multiple members of BM and likely the other teams he faced in the NEL. Charles Chevalier was PXG's main playmaker, and so I don't think Rin had any contribution for his team in this category, and as a result for playmaking, I rank Isagi first, Kaiser second, and Rin third. Now, after playmaking comes overall game impact. This one is actually quite interesting, as we have to consider the impact on a spectrum. How are the players' actions positively impacting their team versus how are the players' actions negatively impacting the team, because we have to consider everything. For this category, I've decided to rank Isagi first again. The reason being due to his ability to uplift his teammates and make them perform on a higher level. But it's not just that. Isagi's adaptability means that he will never be a constant, so realistically you can never completely shut him out. This is something we haven't seen from any other player in the whole wide world, except maybe Kaiser, now that I think about it. And that's why I decided to put Kaiser in second. I can't rank him first, as he was too quiet in the Ubers game. Yeah, being shut out by Lorenzo for a large portion of that match. And also, if you consider his irrational actions against Isagi earlier in the NEL. But when he was struggling in the PXG game, he was able to evolve into a much better player, beating all of his fraud allegations with a single goal, and continued to positively impact his team after that. Without a doubt, if Kaiser wasn't present in BM, they wouldn't have gone 4-0 in the NEL. Now, Rin being lost isn't to take away from how good of a player he is. The issue is, on the biggest stage, BM vs PXG, that final game of the NEL, he was only able to dominate in bursts once he reached his Destroyer flow state. But did you guys not notice at the start, when it was just Water Rin, his more analytical flow state, there was actually a solid number of chapters where he wasn't really doing much for his team. Like, between after Hiyori blocked his first shot where he picked up Isagi, till after Kaiser Impact Magnus, where he then awakened. And then there is the issue of how much he cost his team through wasted shots and failing to team up with Shido, who showed him he was ready to work with him by passing to him, of course, and then being open. So for overall game impact, I rank Isagi first, receiving 3 points, Kaiser gets 2, and Rin receives 1. And so, as of Blue Lock chapter 316, these are my contemporary rankings for the Isagi versus Kaiser versus Rin debate. The God's Chosen Emperor, Michael Kaiser, wins today's vid with a total of 13 points. Isagi ranks second with a total of 12, and Rin closely follows behind. I don't want to say he's lost, very painful, with a total of 11 points. I'm gonna get cooked. But one thing I want to point out, unlike Isagi and Rin, I noticed this whilst making the vid actually. Kaiser never ranks at the bottom for any category we consider, which I think just demonstrates how good of a striker he is and how even the best of Blue Lock haven't quite reached the new Gen 11 level just yet, just because of how well-rounded he is as a player. This is why I believe he ended up with such a high bid at the end of the NEL. 400 million, and why there is still quite a way to go before a striker of his caliber can be truly surpassed by a member of Blue Lock.